Hey kids, welcome to another Glen YAPS. We're down in the recording studio where I've pretty much spent my last day and a half. Today we're just doing a video. The last day and a half we're working on a second song with an idea from my friend Mark Tarantini, and so he sent me another partial little snippet. So that one I think was maybe a minute and a half long. He managed to squeeze in a couple of verses, chorus, and kind of a bridge. So he has the lyrics for that kind of thing. And then his son came up with a riff and some of the structure. And what normally happens, and like I've done this with lots of other people too, when we're songwriting, or if they want me to fix up something they have, like they're not sure of structure, or they have the individual ideas, but they want to make it a song complete. So this is kind of like that, although the lyrics and the melody are already established, and they're all based around his son's guitar riff. That riff. And a couple other things to go under the chorus and the bridge. Now, so when the song's presented to me, to try and get it into a song format, a full song format. I mean, people can do it themselves, I'm sure. Sometimes they just get stuck, or sometimes they place it out there as an idea, as a collaboration, because sometimes working with other people brings a totally fresh idea. Like even my own songwriting, when I'm down here, you get locked into a certain formula, and sometimes you want to break away from that, get some inspiration from some other friends or whatever. So I'm not quite sure how Mark and we've been talking about stuff for on and off for a year or a couple of years anyways, easy, about doing songs. But because I'm such a hobbit down here, people don't kind of know what I do when it comes to the music stuff. So anyways, the first project we did that turned out fairly good. It was in a Dwight Yoakam kind of style of country song. So this one, he presented to me this idea, like a minute and a half, I think it is. It was just an audio tape and audio recording, and he said, let's give it a little bit of southern rock feel, but still maintain the country vibe to it. So when I get the rough file, the first thing I do is I sit upstairs. I have a small area upstairs in the house with a computer with similar software, and I put the song in there, and I first listen to it, trying to get an idea of how Mark is singing on it, and the music underneath. The music underneath dictates a lot to me. I like to know, if that guitar riff that the son gave me, like, do you want to carry it all through the whole song? Do you want to come up with other different parts and stuff? So you have to establish that between the two of you. So Mark gave me kind of free rein to do it. The strange thing is that the tunings of both these songs is down. Now, this one's kind of in my playground, because I do a lot of drop D playing. So the whole guitar right now is tuned down quite a bit from the standard A440. I mean, that makes it easier to sing, obviously, especially if the vocals are up there high-wise, pitch-wise. But it gives the guitar a nice growl, a little swamp. I call it swamp. That swamp flavor when you're doing this kind of country southern rock kind of thing. So the guitar is tuned down, and then I drop the actual low E even more, so you can get the double. You can definitely hit two string. You make 2-finger chords. I mean, I heard a lot of that with a band called King's X. Anybody who knows King's X knows they're phenomenal. They aren't the inventors of drop D tunings and songwriting. It's been done for years. But they just kind of, King's X is one of the ones that really brought it to the foreground. With their guitar player Ty Tabor. Anyways, who I'm a big fan of. Anyways, so the song's based on that lick. Okay, so he played it pretty straight on there. So I sit down with the song, or the snippet that he gave me, and the first thing is to get familiar with it. It's like, okay, that's pretty straightforward. So how can I incorporate it to do more in the song? So unfortunately, when you do a lick like that, you don't really want to play it through the whole song, because it gets tired after, you know, a few minutes. It's the main language under the verses, the music language, eh? And it's got a nice airy feel to it, and it gives a lot of room for the vocals to happen. In this particular one, Mark sings a lot of words, so having this guitar busier is not a good thing, because what it does is it fights with the fast words that Mark is singing about. So you don't want both things going fast, because you end up getting ear fatigue right away. It's like you can't seem to focus on either part then. So the good thing of what his son did was do this nice slower riff. Well, that was wrong. And so the words kind of go a little more rapid fire. And this is beautiful because it cradles that. So that's a good thing. The bad thing is you can't play that riff all the way through the whole song. All right? It gets boring. I mean, that's my opinion. It just gets a little fatiguey. That's what I don't like about simple 3-chord songs, and I will always try and change that. You probably won't find simple songs with 3 chords that repeat like a Bob Seger thing over and over and over and over and over. I can't stand that stuff. Yeah, I just can't. So you won't find that kind of stuff in my record collection. All I need is some little change between the verse and the chorus. You know, something to just not be the same throughout. Okay, some hit songs have been like that and sold gazillions, and I've never sold, even, a dust drop of anything in comparison. But just my ears, I don't like to hear that. So anyways, what I'm hearing in this is it had no intro, had no outro, but it had the main meat and potatoes. It had the 2 verses. He was going to write a 3rd verse, and it had a chorus and kind of a bridge sing. So my idea is to now, okay, the first thing is the song's obviously too short. It's a minute something, so I got to lengthen it. So I always use a sweet mark of 4 minutes. All right? Most songs, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. In the 60s, they were short, 2 minutes, 2.5. You could have a hit record like that. Country songs, the same. So magic spot for me, unlike my own material, which is like 6 and 7 minutes long, because I like going forever, with lots of parts and stuff, 4 minutes, the sweet spot. So rather than repeat the riff all the time, I came up with a variable of the riff, which added some length, because the original idea that Mark sent me, the vocals from the verse and the vocals in the chorus, they almost went simultaneous. not simultaneous. That's the wrong term, but meaning once he sang the verse, he was right into the chorus. It was like no break, right? So there's no break. Need some space. And with all those kind of words, when you're singing it on stage, you'd be out of breath. I think, anyways. Because even when I was singing the vocals down here for my rough draft, just because this is what we're creating here is a rough draft to send to him and say, okay, that's what I like. The length is nice. I like this change, blah, blah, blah. I got this, you know, blah. It just okay how I organized it for him. And so I let him know that if you're going to sing this live, you're going to be out of breath. So let's put some spaces. I can put, you know, a nice little guitar riff to make a space. So that's what I kind of did. So I did the riff, and that was the first thing I had to do, was come up with a second riff to add some space for between the verse and the choruses. So what that does, that little riff, gives me the opportunity to segue now into different parts. So we can do that's Matthew's riff, and then mine. That one would segue into the bridge of the chorus, but I vary this. And go back into his riff. I tried to make it that it was his riff, my riff, his riff, my variant. And what that does, creates a different dynamic under the verse. And when I'm able to do the segue, you're able to get out of that smoothly, plus create a space to breathe. So that was the first thing I did when I was upstairs and I heard the part. It says, okay, we're going to make two riffs from the one. He had a continuation down low, but it didn't allow for extra space to breathe, and it brought you down low, and it didn't give enough room to jump to another part comfortably. So then it needed an intro. And the cool thing about what Matt did is a lot of this is on, as simple as it sounds, it's on an upbeat. So if I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, those are on the upbeat. Boom, which is really cool. I always use the band The Police, because they used a lot of upbeat things. So what I thought was, okay, I'm going to do an intro and mimic his upbeats. With the intro riff. Now I use fake nails. I make my own nails. And these ones are kind of outgrowing, and I glue them on. I always chicken pick, but I always found my fingernails breaking. So these are manufactured. They're not store-bought. I make my own with a combination of resins and cloth. So anyways, and the thing about the nails is you can pop the two. It doesn't quite sound the same with a pick, because one string is hitting and then the second one. When you chicken pick, it's simultaneously together, rather than one then the other. Even when you go fast, there's a difference. So that's what we have. So that little riff of mine is now the intro. It's also the main middle section. And it's also now the second verse, the music on the second verse, and also the outro. Now it's simple enough that the intro can keep it minimal like this. But I can layer things on it and give the illusion through each one of those parts. I can give the illusion that the song is building up differently in each part. Meanwhile, this is always the riff. It's always the riff, but I build on it. I add banjos, acoustics, percussion, and the drums change. So I made sure that as simple as this little riff is, that the drumming changed in each one of those sections. And it gives the illusion that something different is morphing this guitar, but it's actually not. It's the things around it that are making it feel different. I added slide in it. And what else did I add in there? Banjo. So, but those are the two main things. What else did we do with it? There's some picking. I like simple, simplistic type of chords, but I love melodic chords. So that part is in I think it's the, I'll have to listen to it. I can't remember if I put that in the chorus or not. But rather than the original song was strictly these kind of chords, and that's great, but I kind of didn't think it had the country vibe to it. So I like to use these kind of chords. I don't know if you can see that. Because then you can vibrato the chord. So with the low note tuned even lower, it's got this beautiful fat, slightly dark sounding chord. So this being a D chord, I love to take this finger off and go, that note just gives it a, I don't know, just a little bit of tension. So that's what we added. That's what I added into the song. Now, there's nothing wrong with these. the problem is it corners you into one kind of sound. I did use, and because I chicken picked the stuff, I can get that a little more aggressive, tight sound. So we just did variables. So where Mark's son did, we just incorporated more of a picking thing. Now I did, I think, on a couple parts, play acoustically that, but I knew the bass guitar was going in there, and being tuned down, bass guitar gets pretty, like I haven't mixed this song yet, even though it sounds not too bad, but I haven't mixed it. But the bass is definitely going to need some work, because when they all live down in this tuned down frequency, it gets really muddy, and it's hard to get out the presence in bass down that low. Because the bass, I think, is for parts of it, and yeah, it gets swallowed up in the mix. So that is tricky. So you don't want to do the same patterns with the guitar and the bass. So what I did was, as opposed to, so notes kind of stand out. It's all pretty simple, but you have to look at it as in the canvas of the song, that you're layering all these instruments, what's going to come out and what's going to get punished by some other frequency. So I've been writing so long with friends and stuff that we've always come across this where instruments fight for the same space. And this is where, when you're mixing, panning things to different speakers, left and right, or in surround sound mix to different speakers, that's where these instruments can be heard, is in the final mix, and if you pan the sound. So like I have an acoustic in this song and a banjo, and I believe the acoustic is playing this. In parts, and so I wanted the banjo to kind of do similar. Same kind of idea. So when we do that, right now the banjo is panned, I think 60% to one side. The acoustic is still in the middle. I just needed it for the rough draft to sound different and over, just so Mark could hear the actual guitars straight on. When I do a mix on it, I'll be spreading the stuff out, and this main riff is going to be dead center, along with that'll be in the middle, and a couple other things. The lead will be in the middle. I'm trying to think now. So anyways, for the bass, I wanted this song to be swampy and straightforward, quarter note, just shots, like with the drums. Like nothing is fancy about the drums except for I actually do a little bit of a drum thing with that. So the drums do something with that. And then there's a couple of shots in each section, just to say that this section's either ending or it's going into a new section. So the bridge, so that bridge, I kept it as the bar chord kind of thing. But what I did is added some muting. That's muting. Now I was going for more and more of that, just to break up the monotony of just having. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm a drummer, so I like a percussive kind of. Now one of my friends, Tony, he's a guitar player, and him and I click because his guitar playing, he plays very rhythmically. He's intentionally trying to make a rhythm, thus the rhythm guitar part, but he thinks like a drummer, and it's great. So him and I get along great with that. So anyway, so that's what we did with that part. So for the drums, I'm going to bring the camera over just for a little minute. So here's the drum set we used. Now, all I basically used on this, I believe, is the kick, the snare, hi-hats, and a couple of the crashes, but favored this one. This one here is a Minell, and it's really dark, dirty, and trashy. So when I'm doing the bass drum, I'm just like 4 on the floor, just steady, there's hardly any variable, except on I think one verse I changed the kick drum up a bit. And the hi-hat starts off with an open-close kind of thing, a suction sound, that kind of thing. And I kept that going through that intro and a little bit in this verse section where I use the same kind of guitar riff. I'm going to play the music for you in a bit. But the key to the changes under that simple guitar riff that I told you about were to make sure that each drum part I did, I changed a variable, whereas has this sucking sound of the hi-hat, that disappears, and then it gets more aggressive with this crash cymbal and that china. There's a china on some of the hits I'll hit on the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and always on the 1. Now in this recording it's not mixed, so you won't be hearing it as good as it's going to get, but it's just to give you a taste. So, and then for the outro of this song, again, this, that. It's a little bit tricky. It sounds real easy, but I wanted it to appear longer than a 4 count bar. So it's almost in, I'm going to guess, I think it's almost in 5/4 for the part. most people aren't going to notice it, but I know when I was playing it with the drums, it was like, okay, I have to add extra to it to get these little crash things that I had with that little change. Now I had tried variables of the riff. I like to do the adding the low note as a, they call that a drone note, but I'm trying to mute the drone note but still have it play. You can hear it stepping. Now I like doing that. It's fun. It's hard on the nails, that's why we got the fake nails. So I had thought of it for that. But the problem is, I love this modified Strat for the country stuff. I like it for that, but the problem is with these 3 pickups, my fingernails are always hooking the pickups on the metal. And I find with this older tailpiece, it digs into my hand and I can't mute the strings properly. Because if I move up, I'm where the pickup is. If I go too far, then it changes the sound too much. I normally always play either a Tele or a Schecter just because of the way the layup is, or layout is. But on this song, it just needed this. Just needed this guitar. I just wanted to play it on this one. Anyways, that's enough of that. So anyways, I'm going to play the song for you. Oh, I forgot to mention the bass. So what the whole riff is like, the bass is like steady in parts, and the odd time of obviously using my fingers, and there's a couple of times I mimic the riff, and there's a couple other things I do in there just to spice it up, to accent what I was doing on the drums. Quite a simple song, but when I started layering this stuff, it really took on a new dynamic. So I'm going to play the song for you, but without Mark's voice in, because in all fairness, we want you to buy the song when it's all done. If it ever gets to that stage, we don't know. I basically don't know where we're going with it. I'm just doing the songs because I like doing it. And so I basically came up with these sections with a vocal slant on it to finish everything off, because Mark had the verse, chorus, and the bridge, but I found the chorus that he was using as the chorus almost worked as a mini bridge to a chorus. So when I was doing this song splicing and trying to figure out how to make the song longer, I ended up coming up with 2 big sections in the middle and at the end to almost take the place of the chorus, because I found the chorus that Mark came up with didn't repeat enough, and even though he's telling a great story in there, he only sang that the chorus title, or the title of the song, which is "Keeping It Country." He only sang it once, so I had to put it in my mind. I'm going to toss this to Mark to see if he likes it, which he's got it right now, and he seems to like it, but that could all change. That's the whole point of this. You can change songs as many times as you want, you know. So he's going to listen to it, because I've listened to it for a day and a half the way I arranged it, and so he's going to listen to it and see if it grows on him. And it may grow on him. He gave me good signs this morning, but that could change by the end of the day. It could change by 2 days, because he's getting familiar with it, and I'll be listening to it, and you know, we might change some parts again. So that's the beauty of this. You don't have to settle on the first thing, and by no means does it hurt my feelings if something has to be changed. So it's like, it's part of the creative process, you know. You just continuously write, and once the project's, you know, in the works, you can milk it as long as you want, as long as you get it done. So anyways, yeah, so I ended up, I sang the vocals for just as a guide for me to get through the song once I structured it the way I wanted it. So I kind of mimicked Mark's singing, only very badly. But I came up with a stronger section for what might be you might consider a chorus, but and it lengthened the song and actually gave it a different dynamic, totally different dynamic. So what ends up happening now is the main riff, the intro, the main riff, and then my riff added to it. It just starts to build. You can feel it building. And so I started layering a few more instruments, like this banjo. And the banjo line is really simple. I'm going to show you that. And it's very similar to that acoustic part. But I also did, so I mimicked the acoustic part, which I showed you on electric. But I wanted this... So just those two chords, so. Pretty simple, and I forget what the other chord is, because I did the banjo a while ago, so it's kind of not fresh in my head. Okay, so. Now on its own, that sounds like, holy Christ, that sounds really goofy. Oops. So if I find pull-offs don't sound as loud, so I end up having to pick it on the song. So anyways, so that's the banjo part. And then, which is under this thromping chorus, or new kind of chorus, for the middle and at the end. And it's just got this demented sound. And I vary the pattern the second time. That's the first time. Because with my new guitar riff and a slight drumming change, it lengthens it by 1 bar. So that's basically the banjo part, along with that. Oops. course, I played it in tune. That's the bonus of having fake nails. I do not use banjo picks. I hate those stinking things. I only use banjo for my original songs. I'm never going to play in a bluegrass band, and I'm never going to be on stage with it. But I play it. With my fingers, just like a banjo, except I hold my pick. And I use those two fingers. Perfect for doing your original songs. So then we have a late part in there. We did the guitar. We have the acoustic, which is see the beautiful sounding chords. So in the last verse, which I made a double verse, Mark hasn't written the third verse, so what I did is I took the first two verses, put them together, stuck it in this last section. So you get a short verse, and then a double verse, I guess you'll say, before the outro of the song. So after the whole lead break, which is like, say this, it follows that stomping chorus. The lead break is actually Mark's original idea for the chorus. So I kind of flipped things a little bit there. So I made mine more the chorus to stand out and last longer, get in people's heads. And now Mark's original chorus is now almost like a prelude to the chorus, or a mini bridge. So I only add these chords at that third verse. And in the mix, you're going to hear the guitar is too loud. The problem is I put the acoustics when I was doing the picking. I put that and the chords on the same track, which I shouldn't have, because I play chords louder than I actually picked them. So anyways, simple picking. Try and stay away from your traditional, your regular chords, like your regular, like these are great campfire chords, but just find a way different to play them, pick them. Because it gets cliche after a while. I get bored with my own playing, so I just gotta keep inventing the wheel, as we say. Okay, kids, so that's just a fast little breakdown of this. Now, hopefully the batteries hold out. I'll play you the song. Mark's vocal ideas are not going to be on here. I'm only playing what I did vocally. I also ran it through an amp simulator, so it's distorted. So I wanted this kind of a sound nasally, which isn't hard for me because I'm a nasally singer anyways, but I wanted it nasally sounding like it was going through a telephone with distortion. So I used an amp simulator running through like a British amp simulator with distortion. So you're going to hear my voice on it. Basically sounding like there's a short, if if something's going wrong, but there is going to be a real vocal over top of it, or actually there is. I'm just muting it so you don't hear it, because we want you to buy the song, so I can't give you the entire song. But I'll give you the music and my vocal distortion kind of parts. Hope that makes sense. That's that riff.
Even in country.
acoustic. Same riff. This is Mark's old chorus, is now a bridge to the newer kind of chorus that I made. And here we go, the big outro chorus. Okay, so, and you heard the slide in there. So what happens with that banjo part, when I'm doing this, that note is where the banjo starts. And it has its pattern overlapping that note, and it gives it the demented sound that actually fits key-wise. Because that whole riff is at the end. And then the banjo starts on that one note. So all three parts are now starting to fit together like a puzzle piece. And then I added a muted cowbell, which is, I don't think you can see it, but it's sitting there. And if you want a muted cowbell sound, you just stick a rag in it. And it won't get that clangy sustain, so if you mute it, it's got a really cool sound, and I wanted a percussion thing at the tail end of that, just to kind of really stand out. And I did a triplet kind of pattern. Da-da-da, da-da-da. Anything just to make some dynamic change per section. And like I said, that guitar is common in the beginning, the second verse, that main new chorus that I came up with, and the outro chorus. But things are being layered over top, so it fools the mind into thinking that that it's different parts, like the whole thing is different, but it's not. And the drums are changing in there. Like, let's just take the drums for instance. Okay, I'm gonna put this down so I don't knock things over. So let's take the intro. So the intro, all we have is a kick drum on the first few bits. So the first two bars are basically just kick with the guitar riff, a little bit of slide. It's a slide, a totally unique slide play part to that intro than the rest of the song. And then after two bars, I add the hi-hat and then give it that suction sound on a couple of shots that mimic the guitar. Now we're into just a basic straight beat. So that accents my new guitar riff, and that helps cue Mark, the singer, when to start singing. So that is a combination of the acoustic and the banjo playing exactly the same picking patterns. And when you hear it in the studio here, it has this chorusy effect. The timbre of these instruments is so different, but they blend nice together in that particular part. So as simple as that part is, it really stands out. It breathes, where the other stuff going on behind it is a little bit busier. This almost adds a nice little, like a breeze through the song. And back to that main riff. Now, the bass is out of that part except for the riffs. Now, I have them low in the mix right now because I'm not basically happy with the the way the sound of the bass is in the song. The sound is good on its own, but it's, for some reason, it gets squashed with everything going at the same time. So I have to bring the bass out, which means I have to re-EQ it, make it a little bit smaller, and fit it into a spot where the frequencies aren't fighting. That's what people don't understand. You may come into a studio with the greatest bass sound, and then you play it with the band in there, and the kick drum or some low frequency on the keyboards or whatever is fighting for the same space. You have to use your EQ to make those instruments play nice together in a song. You can't all fight for the same space, because what happens is something gets canceled, and then you want to change the volume. You start boosting the volume. Volume is not how you do it. You have to EQ the instrument to fit in the similar space or just beside it. So if you're all fighting for 60K on an EQ, it won't all fit there. It just won't. Something will get lost. So it's taken me a long time to deal with issues like that, and it's a pain in the ass, but that's what happens. It's just one of those things you got to learn. Your EQ is your main tool, not your volume lever. So that riff is it's call and answer. The riff, the main guitar riff that I came up with, and the answer is the slide. Just call and answer. Okay, that part there, that's where we use substitute chords. I think I use it, Mark's son used this. So I thought about picking it. One of the times I do pick it like this. But I also pick it up here. You just got nicer, chimier notes. Plus you can chicken pick them. Way better. It's great for writing. Do that, and it gets heavy. Yeah, I love the heavy stuff down there, but the song is tuned down, and it's hard to get all the instruments to play nice in those lower frequencies. So you need something to play on top in the brighter notes. So let's keep going. So here comes the bridge. So what the bridge is, when I added my new lick, it actually it opened the door for me to do 3 kind of climb up chords to get into Mark's bridge. So perfect segue. kept this pretty steady, like Mark's son Matthew. Let's give it a little rock feel. So that part there was no stop. I had to come up with something to segue into my newer kind of chorus. And I'm always into the dynamic things like stops, starts, volume swells. I love volume swells. So I decided to do one here. So what I did was I hit the heaviest chord on here on the guitar and did the volume swell on it, and it built up into that new chorus. So I recorded it and then I double tracked it so it has a little more meat on it. But you can't beat a good stop and a build up, not a stop, build up, and a swell. Just kind of cues that new chorus perfect. So now this is basically where the guitar lead goes, and even though we could have put a lead over the chorus, but I tried it and it just, everything was fighting in there because you got a lot of vocal that I put in, so the lead didn't quite sound that good in there. And I was even trying chicken picking leads and stuff, and it was just too much, so I kind of kept it simple. So basically the lead is over a chorus, which is just came by accident. So it's over the chorus, no vocals, but basically the guitar lead takes its own melody in there. So there we have another swell. Like I said, I like volume swells. So volume swell, I now go into this third verse, double verse. I'm also adding the acoustic, those two nice chords that I showed you earlier in the video. So now we go from the build up, the swell, into this nice off chord, and he starts singing right away, which you're not going to hear the vocal, but so that's basically the song. It's a 4-minute country rock song. Definitely was totally fun to do, quick to do. You don't have to have the a million chops to make a half decent sounding song. And we'll take it from here. Like, this is basically to make a rough draft between two people. The original concept of the vocal comes to me, and I make it into a workable song, send it back. He goes, okay, I like this, maybe not this. So the song is done in sections. So it's easy to go in and take that section out and put something else in. Or you can start the whole thing over again. I mean, once you have all the software and stuff, you can do it as many times as you want. The problem is you can only reinvent the wheel so many times before the song now becomes stale. I've had some songs where it's like, okay, I've worked it so many times now I don't even like the song anymore. Where I probably should have just maybe gone halfway through it and just settled on, okay, that one's good enough. Because it gets to the point where you can work with that song so much you could have written like 6 songs better in the same time frame. You have to know when to just like, that's it. I'm not giving it anymore. Yeah, and I know there's some famous people that kept working it and working it, and finally, oh, okay, they got a million seller. But you know what? I'd rather just write a lot of songs and then come back to it maybe, you know, a year or two down the road. So it's one of those deals where it just doesn't always work. So now you got 2 people involved in the song, and that means 2 minds and 2 decisions and 2, well, actually 3 in this case, because his son, Mark's son, wrote this too. So you got to get his taste on it too. Now this is the rough draft. That doesn't mean I'm playing anything on this song. I'm doing it in the sense of helping out. But I'm pretty sure I'll be doing the drums on it. This drum track is actually probably salvageable. I don't have to redo it. It actually it sounds pretty good. Everything else has to be either redone or tightened up. Like this is, we're talking, most of this stuff was done in 1 or 2 takes. I like to prep before I do the stuff, so it sounds kind of presentable, but if you're just sitting here in the studio, things are not tight and where they should be. There's flubs in the sense of timing just to get it tight. This is just a rough draft. There's no use putting 1,000 hours into a song. You know, if I'm going to send it to the person to get an okay, and they don't like something, that's just stupid. So what you do is get a rough draft, kind of, you know, throw it together, make it sound presentable, do a couple of takes on it. It's all you need. And if you're changing something, then it's like a no-brainer. So just rip out the section, redo it. When everybody's on agreement how it sounds, you go in, you tighten all the screws, you make it nice, perfect in the timing. I'm not a believer in quantizing my drum playing. I think that's horse shit. Sorry. If you can't play drums to a click and get it solid, then you shouldn't be playing drums. So it's my take on it. But to manipulate the drums to be in time, not a chance. That's just stupid. I said the feel of the drums are usually recorded first or second, and to manipulate that feel of that drummer changes everything that's placed on top of it. So if you're playing as a band with that drummer all the time, you come into the studio, does his drum track, and somebody manipulates the time and feel of that drummer, the entire song will change. It may sound better, but it won't be what they sounded like on stage and walked into the studio with. So basically, to me, that's erasing someone's feel. That is their signature. I don't care if they can play 1,000,000 notes or 3 notes on a drum set. It's their feel that makes the difference. It's their signature. That goes for every instrument. If you manipulate the software too much, you're really screwing with that person's signature, their DNA, in my opinion. So even my guitar parts, that's me. I will do a section at a time. I won't play these songs from beginning to end. Okay, I do them at a section at a time. It's placement. So I want to be able to play that whole riff, you know, exact on each section. But I don't play them all at the same time. Okay? So that's not manipulating anything. That's just saying, I'm only playing that riff here, I'm only playing it here, and I'm only playing it here. So let's just get the riff that I know right there. Then the second riff, go here, the third riff here and here. That way, each one of those riffs is played to the best of my powers, and away we go. I cannot sit here and because I don't think of my other instruments like drums. Like drums, I was crazy about being able to play beginning to end. So that is my thing. I play drum songs from beginning to end when I record. But guitar, I never learned the instrument that way. I never learned it for stage to play through songs entirely. I learned all these other instruments to play in the studio. So I don't need to play the song beginning to end. I need to just be able to play the actual riff for that section. So that's what I look at. So, and you'll find that it's a time saver for anybody out there, because it is hard to play perfect from beginning to end of a song like the old days. On the drums I can do it because I rehearse a lot and try and get it done. On this particular song, I rehearsed the parts that I wanted to do with the drums to match the guitar parts, but I went for the whole thing from beginning to end. So anyways, thanks for listening. It's a lot of jibber jabber, but maybe you learned something from it. Maybe you basically, want to get into songwriting, and that's how she goes, piece by piece. And if you're writing with friends, you got to be open-minded and bounce ideas off each other. But eventually, the song has to be finished. Okay, you can't keep kicking the tires and kicking the tires and kicking the tires. Eventually, you got to go for it and say enough's enough. So, anyways, thanks for watching.